Hey guys, my name's Saberhair. I recently completed a game jam for the first time. Did I win? Hell no, but I had a lot of fun, so I thought I'd make a devlog about it. So the keyword here is completed. I've attempted game jams in the past, but between work, school, and frankly life in general, I've never been able to submit them on time. However, I'm proud to say that for the Brackies Game Jam 2025.1, I not only submitted on time, I got a handful of ratings, plenty of feedback, and even a few followers in the game dev community. So I'm super proud of this one. All right, now, if you've never heard of the Brackies Game Jam, then the process is basically everybody votes on a theme, and then at 6 a.m. on a Sunday, you find out which one won, and you have exactly a week to create a game from scratch and submit it while following the rules of the jam. The key rules are basically no NSFW content, no AI generated content, and of course, the game has to be mostly original. You can use any engine for this, but for this one, I chose Godot because, frankly, I tried to use it in the past, but I just didn't know what I was doing and I burnt out really quickly. So I wanted to try and redeem myself and use Godot. Now, the reason I felt more confident using Godot in this game jam is because I've been using this book by Chris Bradfield to get myself more comfortable with the engine. It has a bunch of tutorials and assets, and I even went back and used it to work on my game jam that I previously failed. Maybe I'll finish that in the future. If I do, I'll make a video about it. In the meantime, I had to start coming up with ideas for this jam. The theme announcements were love story, exceptions, geography, mechanical mayhem, nothing can go wrong, off the grid, reparation, and wonders of the world. After voting, I got to work brainstorming. I was originally thinking about something robot themed, similar to Satisfactory or Guitar Hero. But when the theme Nothing Can Go Wrong became official, I remembered a game I was working on previously. The game was called Haunted Realtor, and the inspiration for it came from this video by a YouTuber called Maven Celeste. In the video, she described a game where you're trying to sell haunted houses to your clients by lying to them. I branched off from that and added a cleansing mechanic where the worse you do, the harder it is to lie. Now, I knew I wouldn't have time for all that in the jam, so I decided to just keep my ideas from the cleansing portion of the game. It would also keep it closer to the theme because you absolutely cannot lie your way out of it. If anything goes wrong, the player loses instantly. Now let's talk about everybody's favorite part, the challenges. So we already know that I was extremely new to Godot, and that's the challenge in itself. But I am also a waitress, and I don't know how many of you have been in food and bev, but you're either cut 2 hours early or you're there 4 hours after close. There's no in between. And this was Valentine's Day weekend. So everybody who had a normal job reserved for the big day, and everybody who doesn't have a normal job reserved for a day the following week, which means I definitely couldn't take extra time off for the jam if I wanted to be able to pay my rent, which I did. So my time for this jam was basically split between doing coding in the morning, going to work, and then doing sprites and artwork late at night when I was too brain fried from asking people steak temperatures to remember the difference between an if statement and a for loop. At some point on my 2 days off that week, I managed to do some meal prep and laundry to help make my life easier. But for the most part, I was running on a coffee and green tea fueled bender of game development. And I had a lot of fun and wouldn't change a thing, but I was exhausted. Another challenge I had to deal with is the fact that I have no sense of pitch or rhythm, so I would have to look for sound effects and music elsewhere. I ended up going to Pixabay for the sound effects and music. The music of the game was titled Scary Animations by Villatic Music. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I gave credits on the title screen of the game for it, but I wanted to say it here as well. Also, changing the freaking icon of the game. I spent hours on it, and at some point, after like 3 exports and restarting a couple times, it randomly started working. I have no idea what I did. I had no idea how I changed it, but it changed in time for the game submission file, so I'm here for it. Okay, now for the fun part of the jam, the development process. I had a couple of goals. I wanted random level design, a simple game loop, and keeping it short and sweet, but with a bit of a challenge. I decided to make every level 30 seconds long. If I got around to adding more difficult entities, like little gremlins that the player would have to chase around, I'd make them be able to get a time bonus, but that didn't end up happening. So the next step was to just design. So I went into Sprite and designed a bunch of walls, floors, tiles, pretty much everything you can imagine so that I could get at least 3 basic floor plans done for the levels. I then got to design my little realtor. When Googling what a realtor looks like, because I honestly had no idea, I've never bought a house. Um, I figured out that they basically have three designated haircuts, all hold a folder, and have one of five different blazer colors. So I just designed a little guy, gave them animations, and set them on their way. I then got to make furniture and haunted items. I even got to throw in a couple of Easter eggs. I turned Haley from Stardew Valley into a zombie. I turned Scooby Doo into Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas. I added the haunted fridge from Ghostbusters, and I even added the haunted sink from Supernatural. One of the few episodes that still scares me. And this doesn't technically count as a reference, but because of the NSFW rule, I didn't want to risk adding any bleeding walls or really anything too scary. So instead, I copied the ectoplasm from the Green Ghost in Ghostbusters and basically made splatter effects everywhere. I thought it'd be a nice way to stick to the theme without getting kicked out of my first game jam. I created a few more furniture items, and towards the end, I could barely keep my eyes open. So instead of giving each furniture its own haunted animation or writing new objects code that wouldn't ever be haunted, I just added ectoplasm to everything that I was too tired to do art for. If I continue this in the future, I'll definitely add more original artwork and animations. But after working in a restaurant for 36 hours in a span of 4 days, I just didn't have the brain power to come up with anything more. Again, not complaining. Happy to pay my bills, grateful for it, but I was sleepy. Grateful, but sleepy. I then made it so that every playthrough you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting any different level and a 50-50 chance of every furniture in that level being haunted, with a bare minimum of one needing to be haunted so that the player doesn't just get an instant win. I then made it so that the haunted meter up top adjusts for the amount of haunted furniture so that each time the player clears something, the correct portion of a segment is taken from the meter. This also gives the player a hint of how many haunted items there are at the beginning of every level. Now that the core gameplay was finished, I made a celebratory TikTok and started polishing. Added a black sprite to serve as a background color instead of the gray, created a cutscene background, picked out fonts and colors, and added a commission screen that gives a random sale price between 500,000 and 5 million and gives the player 10% of that commission. By this point, it was Saturday, and I knew there was no way I was waking up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday to submit a game when I worked at least till midnight the night before. So I submitted my jam a whopping 17 hours early and ate some celebratory Ben & Jerry's before work. Now let's talk results. The Brackeys Game Jam doesn't have a prize money or anything like that. It is completely a credit and honor-based system. So deciding a winner is going to be a fun time. So how it works is after the submission deadline, it starts a 2-week period where anyone who submitted a game can rate other people's games. If you have 20 or more ratings, you are eligible to win and be on the leaderboard. If not, you're still going to get some great feedback and hopefully make some friends. And this was fun. I got to play so many unique games, and I got and received a bunch of valuable feedback from other devs. I had a few friendly conversations in the comments, and I got and received followers from other devs in the community. It was a very wholesome 2 weeks considering the chaos of working Valentine's Day weekend and building a game from scratch. And while I didn't even come close to winning, I got to post in the Brackeys Game Jam advertisement channel for the first time, and I even got 8 ratings from people I didn't know, even though there were over 2,200 games submitted. My overall rank ended up being 1544, and my overall innovation rank ended up being 1207, which means I beat nearly 50% of people in innovation in the game jam, which is amazing to me. If I could do anything differently, I would have exported it to be Mac and web-based as well. That way more people could play it. I just feel like that would have gotten me more ratings and given me a bigger chance to get on the leaderboard. But overall, I wouldn't change this game jam experience for everything. I'm excited to do the next Brackeys game jam in the fall. And hell, the game's still up if you want to play it. I'll put the link to it in the description. It's completely free to play. After all, it's 30 seconds long. But if you're rich and think, hey, this is worth a whole name brand grocery to me and want to donate, please feel free to go ahead. If not, I'd love to see what you guys think of it. And if I continue it, I'll let you guys know. Thank you for watching, guys. And if you do play it, thank you in advance. Bye.